So, very good. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Before the presentation. Yep. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the meeting will now come to order. Thank you for being here. We will now, could you please stand and do the pledge of allegiance? Put your right hand on your left hand side on your heart. Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Lopez.
Present.
Ms. Sorrento.
Present.
Director Castaneda.
Present.
Avalos.
Here, present. In closed session, by unanimous, the board voted to approve a compromise agreement and release the student of an OAH case number 20260-20816. The agreement resolves a dispute related to a student's special education supports and services and includes compensatory education, assessments, active equipment, and attorney fees in exchange for a waiver of claims between the parties. Thank you. Next is public communication. No public communication. Number 7, accept the agenda. Approve and consent the agenda routine items of business. All items. Can we please accept the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Maria Betancourt Castaneda and a second by Ms. Sarmiento. Please vote. Thank you. We will now approve consent agenda routine items of business. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval for these items. There will be no discussion prior to the time. The board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request the specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed considered in full and adopted as recommended. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Ms. Cindy Lopez and a second by?
Second.
A second by Maria Betancourt Castaneda. Please vote.
Madam President.
General functions. Educational services. Conduct a public hearing for the annual local control accountability plan for the 2026-2027 school year, Exhibit B. Ms. Hilliard will now speak to us.
We need a public hearing.
We lost the neighbor. We found it. Agenda item number 10A, conduct a public hearing for the annual local control accountability plan for the 2026-2027 school year. The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak of this matter. Yes, there are no speakers. Dr. Laura Hilya, Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, Cabinet members. Well, it is that time of year, and as you know, it is a requirement for all of our school districts to develop an LCAP plan, which stands for the Local Control Accountability Plan. The development of this plan is an important process whereby the district team members engage with our educational partners to discuss and to receive feedback to determine goals and share progress towards goals, as well as determine an alignment of resources that are allocated to support those goals. And so that process, we have been engaged in that process over really the several months now. And this evening we'll be providing an overview of the proposed draft of the LCAP plan. And so the team members have all each contributed to the development of this plan, which was written as an intended outline. And we're going to be sharing that presentation then with you today. So really our plan here is a roadmap, and that roadmap consists of our district vision, as well as, and it sits alongside our LCAP plan. And with that, when you take a look at our district vision, we've been really engaged in developing a learner profile where we identify what's most important, the most important characteristics for our students, as well as this year we've been working on a learning model, and that's something also that we'll be continuing to roll out. But really those should be a common thread that we'll see throughout our LCAP plan. And so the plan itself consists of 5 goals and the action steps that go with that we'll be sharing more about in this presentation. As I mentioned, there was, over the course of about 3.5 years, there was work done throughout the district in really being able to identify and develop our profile of a national school district learner. And so that's really something that we're constantly working towards to ensure that the experiences that we're providing for our students are going to foster these key characteristics that our students are exceptionally prepared learners, innovative, compassionate world citizens. This last year, we gathered our guiding coalition to really be able to look at what does that look like in our classrooms. And so we've identified a learning model, and that's the work that's going to be taking us throughout next year and even beyond, where we're going to work with our teachers, our staff, our administrators, really to ensure, again, that the environments, the experiences that we create for our students are inclusive, that they're personalized, that they're real world, and that there's an effort for continuous improvement and growth. And so those are key components that we're always going to be keeping in mind in all of the work that we do. And so today we'll be sharing our LCAP draft, our proposed plan. And just as a reminder, and I know all of us are very aware, that this is a mandatory component for all school districts to have this 3-year strategic blueprint that really makes sure that we are aligning our resources to support our goals and our purpose, as well as monitoring progress. There are several key requirements that the LCAP plan should be addressing, and those are listed here. Of course, always focusing in on academic performance. That is our ultimate goal, to ensure that our students are supported to have those positive student outcomes. We want to ensure that our kids are engaged. So that's when we're looking at our attendance and chronic absentee rates. We're also wanting to make sure that as we develop this, that we're listening to the voices of all of our stakeholders. So that's from our community to our teachers to even to our students. And of course, there's other aspects where we're wanting to make sure that we're supporting our students that are most at need, so those unduplicated students, as well as ensuring that we have transparency about how we're monitoring the progress of our students. As I mentioned, there's been several components to this. We want to really, we are committed to ensuring that we are listening to the voices of all of our partners. And so this is just a list of the various meetings that we've been having back starting in January with our DLAC and our DPAC parent groups, sharing the information, sharing our goals and our progress towards them, and really hearing from them, what do they see as the most prioritized services and programs that we offer, and what possible suggestions that they might have as well. We had a survey that was online that was also disseminated across our community. We also presented to all of our groups, including our PTA groups. We worked with our partners, with CSEA as well as NCETA, and sat with them on reviewing the goals and the priorities, just really trying to have that open discussion to be able to guide our next steps. Of course, as we all know, that was April 29th, we had our community committee, LCAP committee meeting over at Rancho de la Nacion, where we were able to engage with our community and really talk about the goals and identify key priorities, as well as, of course, the other, we consult also with our SELPA. So lots of opportunities to make sure that we're having a chance for people to give us that feedback and that input. Part of the LCAP also includes a budget overview for parents, and really what this slide does is just reinforces this idea that we have resources that are allocated to support our students, that we estimate expenditures, and that we actually apply and use those funds for those expenditures. And that's something that you'll also see at the beginning of the LCAP plan. And of course, we also will be followed up with a budget presentation from Dr. Cochran a little bit later. And so at this point, and I know that a lot of this is very familiar because you have all been very much involved in this process as well, but we're going to try to give some recap and overview about our goals and kind of some of the possible shifts, modifications that we are doing. I'm going to invite up Kathy Melanes to share about Goal 1.
Good evening, Board President and Board Trustees and Executive Cabinet. It's nice to be here again to talk about the LCAP and what we're doing. As Dr. Filios shared, this will be a repeat of some of the information, but I'm going to slow down. I'm going to do Goal 1 because all of the other goals will be in the same order, but I just want to make sure you're oriented to the slides and can interpret all the information. So forgive me if it's a repeat of what we've already done. So I wanted to start with Goal 1, and this goal is really about our English learners' success. We're really looking for their academic success as well as their acquisition of the English language. And we know those are tied together. So when we look at Goal 1, we put this table in here. And so to orient you to the table, we have the what column. So those are the actions outlined in our LCAP that are aligned as well to our budget. So for example, we have professional learning and coaching as our action 1.1. And we have budget funds assigned to that action. And then we have our why, and that's really why we want to build our capacity of our teachers and all our staff to support our English learners through designated ELD and integrated ELD. And then the who or how, and in this case, as of last year, this is a recap of last year, we had 2 DRTs, district resource teachers, who focused on English learner support. We had an EL coordinator, and then we had teacher collaboration days. So that's a little bit of how the table is organized. I'm not going to read it all. Again, you've probably seen it, but really just focusing on the who or how column. These actions last year in 25-26 were really met through providing English classes for our families in a partnership with Southwestern College, having expansion of our biliteracy program, our dual language program at El Toyon, and the hiring of some impact teachers. And again, these are the metrics you saw on April 29th. And again, to orient you, the first column is the metrics of what were we measuring or how were we measuring it. The baseline, the first year the LCAP was written. Then after year one implementation in 24-25, year two, how did we do on that metric? So last year, and then our goal for this coming year is that orange column. So as you can see, within this goal, we haven't had as much success as we would like, but we did have a couple of areas. So I want to point out some areas that we're really zoned in on for our plan for next year, how we're going to revise, and then some areas where we actually saw some good growth and are pleased and are going to continue those efforts. So 1.2, metric 1.2, you can see that's our English learners making progress on the dashboard. And the expectation is that they will make 1 year of growth in their English language over the course of a year. So our baseline in 23-24, about 53.5% of our English learners were making that expected year of progress. We dipped last year and then we came back up, we dipped in 24-25 and last year we came back up to 50.5%. So while it looks like our goal might be a little lofty there, we may come a little short, we are moving in the right direction as far as that goal. Down at 1.5, this is our duly identified students. So students who are English learners and also have an IEP. And as you can see, there's a couple of different metrics in here. One is you can see the percent of students who are in what we call a level 1. And what we're looking, so we tend for duly identified students, we tend to have a large percentage of those students who are scoring in level 1, which means they're not at grade level, right? They are usually far below grade level. Because we know it's a challenge, right? If you're learning English and you have maybe a suspected disability, maybe in reading comprehension, it's going to be really challenging for those students. However, we still have the expectation that they're going to reach grade level standards. So in this area, we can see our duly identified students, we want a decrease in that level 1. We want more scoring level 2, 3, and 4. So you can see we went from 76% to 87% to 86%. So we are kind of rising. But the other interesting fact there is our numbers of duly identified students went up at the same time. So that's a very interesting metric. We need to unpack that a little bit more, but that's an area for sure we're going to focus on for next year. That one is for English language arts, and 1.6 is for math. And we had the same trend in math. So we're going to be, again, really focusing in on that group. One group that did really well that I want to point out is in metric 1.8. Those are our long-term English learners, and they were orange on our dashboard, which means they're still kind of lower performing and not making the progress we expect. As of last year, they were actually green. I'm sorry, this was not updated. They actually hit the green, which is near the top mark. So they made growth and I have moved along at a proficiency level. So the revision, so now that you've seen, we've looked at the metric, we've analyzed that, we've taken all of our educational partner input. We had to think about the financial implications that we have right now, which we don't know what our actual budget will be, right? So we're making our best estimates and best plans for what we hope to do next year. So we've made some revisions to some of the goals, some of the actions. We cannot revise the goals, we can only revise the actions. So in our action 1.1, we are now going to have 2 DRTs, and they're going to focus on English language arts and math. However, they will not only focus on that content area, they're really going to focus in on how to support English learners or duly identified students when they're out coaching and providing professional development. So that's action 1, and both of those we really are looking at their abilities to support both content area and English language. Another action in goal 1.1 was we are consolidating 2 of our coordinators. This past year, we had an EL coordinator and we had a preschool coordinator. And as of next year, we will have 1 coordinator. We're going to call them Ed Services because they're going to be supporting with both preschool and some of those EL initiatives. Action 1.3, we're going to continue with our family English classes with our partnership with Southwestern College. And as well, we are fortunate that we are community recipients of the Community Schools Grants. So schools will be able to extend their family partnerships, specifically working with families of English learners. And then that action 1.4 and 1.5, we actually won't be doing those actions next year. Those were funds that were dedicated from the LCAP to be given to specific sites to support English learners or duly identified. What we've found is that sites really know their students and what the specific needs are. So those funds will be given to the sites so they can be really strategic in making the plans to best support their students. So that was goal 1. Goal 2, now we're looking at the academic proficiency for all students, and that's really through our MTSS framework. So our actions last year in 25-26, this is where we have our STEM and VAPA teachers providing data release, so principals and teachers can meet for the data discussions. We have our MTSS coordinator at our site. Goal 2 encompasses our ELOP program, our after-school program, our amazing summer session that launched today. Last year, as you're well aware, we did more of our science PD using our new FOSS curriculum. It also includes our language arts specialists, our library media specialists, and our impact teachers. So that was last year. Our metrics in this area are much more promising. We really saw some great growth in our, it's on this one, sorry, in our CASP, our ELA, our math, and our science scores all went up, improved last year. So we saw the results of some of that work. Specifically, we're really excited about our science. We don't have the official CASP results yet, but our CASP results for this year are even looking better. Our distance from standard for 210, that again is our students who are unduplicated. They're either homeless, they're socioeconomically disadvantaged. We're seeing a little reduction in their points, which this is when we look at negative points of distance from standards. You're imagining the line here is the standard, right? This is our baseline. Our students are down here, those unduplicated students. We want to decrease the amount that they are away from the standard. So that's what's happening there. You can see initially we started at negative 80 points and we were up to negative 69.2. So slow but steady progress, closing that gap. That was in ELA and that's also in math as well. So based on, again, all the input and the budget that we have, these are our revisions to the actions in Goal 2. We are going to really look at our professional development and really think about those initiatives. And again, that's some of the things I just talked about in terms of which students do we really need to give more support to? Where do our teachers need more professional development and support as well? So really our professional development is really going to be shifting, so it's really aligned to those district initiatives. Specifically, you can see action 2.3, we're going to focus on social studies. We are going to continue to focus on math, and that's going to be really important as we look forward to a math adoption in the next coming years, that our teachers have a real good grounding in math and the new framework. We will continue with early literacy as well, and then within all of those areas, differentiated instruction for English learners, students with disabilities, to make sure all of our students are reaching that grade level achievement. Action 2.3, if approved, we would love to look at purchasing a new social studies curriculum. And then action 2.5, similar to actions 1.4 and 1.5, we're going to shift that funding so the sites again can make those strategic decisions to help support targeted student groups at their site. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ferris now.
Good evening, Governing Board President, Governing Board, Executive Cabinet. I get to have one of, I call it the fun goal, expand collaboration with our students, our staff, families, and partners for student success. So again, you've seen most of this data and we've taken the input from the various sessions and we've done very little tweaks, but this is action. It's all about family and community and supporting children as a whole, and we know it takes a village. And we have our district translator with this goal. We also have our family resource center, and we provide learning environments, safety. We also in this goal, we have embedded our technology platform for equitable access for children, and ways to support chronic absenteeism are looked at as well with our officer and staff support. For the metrics, we have been meeting our parent engagement dashboard. We're very excited that with community school strategies, we have expanded. We were, at one point, we were 2 schools with the federal grant, then we moved on to be 7 more schools with the state grant to be 9. And now we are going to be 10 schools 10 out of 10, 100%, with the partnership with National University and Enlaces. We are actually onboarding right now the new coordinator for John Otis, and it happens to be a National City community member, parent at one of our sites that did amazing, and she's on the onboarding process right now and knows our community very well. We also we're increasing our parent engagement. A lot of our goals work alongside with each other, right? And for example, with our English support, parent involvement in classes, we have Southwestern College. That it was an idea from parent involvement, but it was a specific targeted of English classes to support our families. With chronic absenteeism, we know that post-COVID, there was different situations and barriers, and we are getting our children back to school. We want to have that welcoming space, that idea of you belong here, not only students, but also families. And we're seeing improvement in that. A friendly reminder, we cannot change like the end goal baseline, but we know that we want even more families here for next year. We also have our software, our preschool enrollment, and we want to get all of our children, regardless if they have different needs or not, as many opportunities possible. And we know that the general ed setting would be the least restrictive environment. And of course, we want our attendance to increase and reduce suspension rates. Some of the shifts in Goal 3 or revisions is, like I shared before, instead of having one person supporting all the schools, now we're going to have one person at every school site, which we are very excited about. And here in educational services, we will work with all of the community school TOSAs or coordinators to support the schools and be aligned with our goals and strategies. And for technology, we're being more targeted and not only purchasing technology that might be popular or because we had this program, but looking at usage. Also, we did a staff survey and we got the input from our teachers on what they find beneficial and what they really need to support student goals. So that is a summary again for Goal 3, and I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Vargas.
Good evening, board members, board president, and executive cabinet. So Goal 4 really focuses on our MTSS framework and the staff that support that framework. And it's really focusing on differentiated instruction, SEL instruction, and PBIS. Have some really exciting news to share in a few slides. This particular goal had 2 actions. So it's a little bit slim on actions, but they're hefty actions. The first one being investing in staff compensation. And really this is directly supporting our student support services DRT and also supports our partnership with NCPD and the school resource officers, as well as supporting our health program for the district. Action 4.2 is to funding specialized support staff, which includes psychs, SLPs, RSPs, and of course our school counselors who do a lot of great work at the school sites. The metrics that are part of goal number 4 include a reduction in suspension rates, sense of safety by both students and staff, having fully credentialed staff. One of the metrics that we're also looking are the major and minor behavior incidences that we have in our system, and of course our PBIS Platinum designation. So as you can see with the suspension rate, we are making improvements. There was a slight uptick this school year from 1% to 3%. We're happy to report that we have not had any expulsions in our district since the LCAP was implemented in the 23-24 school year. The staff and student feeling of safety at school has increased. You can see that both student and staff sense of safety at school have both increased from previous years. So that's a huge improvement for us. Our fully credentialed staff, the board took action a few Board meetings are about to contract for special education teachers. That is the 88%. As you know, across the state, it's really difficult to find properly credentialed special education teachers. That is resulting in that reduced percentage for metric 4.3. In PBIS Platinum, this year we were able to have 8 out of our 10 schools be Platinum, which is the highest designation. I can unofficially report that all schools met the criteria for Platinum designation. So we're anticipating, yes, that's a great accomplishment for the site teams. We're hoping that we're anticipating that we're gonna be meeting our goal for this metric 4.5 next year of having 100% of our schools be PBIS Platinum. Given the input that we received from our educational partners, we maintained the same goal and actions for goal number 4 because we're seeing some pretty measurable successes in these areas. Okay, and then Dr. Burns.
Yeah. And for goal number 5, we have preschool. I love that we have a focus on preschool because we are a preschool through 6th grade district, and we provide expanded day access to preschool for state-only qualifying students. In the PM, we usually have Head Start, and that's a federal guidelines, income guidelines, which are much harder to get here in San Diego because of the cost of living. So we actually say we will provide slots with our LCAP so that more kids can come to our PM sessions, and that way they are from 8 to the 2:30 for the day. And again, we look at social emotional learning. We want kids to be curious, to build on their knowledge, have fun with activities. And for our metrics, we have increased the number of students in preschool and students in inclusion. That is, students with IEPs in our preschool program, general ed, you would call it. And we are at 22%. The goal for the state was 15, so we are way above that. And students in Head Start, it is a grant that we have, and we are currently at 47, which is great that they provide that funding for us. And the revision in the metric, before it used to be a DRDP assessment, and now we've changed it to enrollment because it ties more with what we are looking at in terms of getting more kids into preschool. And that is for goal 5, and I will turn it to Dr. Filia.
Okay, well, I do want to just recognize the team for all of their work and effort and kind of putting this together. It is a heavy lift to kind of create, write, and develop this LCAP plan. As mentioned, a lot of this is kind of very familiar to all of you as we've all gone through each of these in our community meeting. As mentioned, it is a 3-year plan, and so this is the last of the 3 years. And so this time next year, we'll have even more of an opportunity to really relook at the goals and the actions, and it could really, we could make more substantial revisions if that's what we wanted to do. For now, a lot of the pieces maintain to be the same. And so at this point, again, we're sharing this information, reviewing this information. It is proposed for you and for anyone's input, and then we would bring it forward at our next board meeting for actual approval and adoption. Otherwise, any other questions for myself or the team?
I just have a comment. I'd like to say that this is very thorough, very exciting. This is probably one of the best LCAP presentations I've seen in a long time. You talked about bringing parents into the schools, and I gotta share with you, when I was at Otis School for their promotion ceremony, Dr. Vine was very animated. You could tell he had all the families and the parents all involved in everything that he said. They were actively participating. They were excited to be there. Obviously, their kids were graduating, but he just had a way about him, and then at the end of it, when they keyed the music and they're marching the kids out, he started dancing. And I thought, that is so cool, because the parents, they're smiling, they're laughing, they're excited about it. A lot of them came up and greeted him afterwards, so it was very obvious that he is a role model for parent participation.
That's great, thank you.
Trustee Lopez?
Yes, thank you again for the presentation and preparing it. I did have two questions around curriculum, but I believe there are two different goals. So for goal number 2 for social studies, is that for this upcoming school year for new?
Correct. So they're currently going through, actually they finished up the pilot process. And so at our next meeting, I believe we're bringing that forward. Of course, that would come alongside this one.
And then for goal number 3, I'm gonna read the language. For action 3.5, equitable technology information system, the Y, all the last part for the training. So we do have that one-to-one tech, but I'm just wondering, are teachers expected to teach any of the computer science standards, or what does that training and actual teaching component look like in the classroom right now?
It's a great question. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so one of the ways we're addressing that is through our STEM program. The coding and even beyond coding, computer science is an element that's brought through in the STEM. So TK through 6, they all get an appropriate computer science.
Trustee Maria Bettencourt Castaneda?
Thank you. You mentioned in goal number 3 that about the, there was a survey related to the software and technology. In regards to the survey, is it going to be done by site and the software that's purchased, or is it going to be district-wide? And so they have to select based on that. And when I say about the survey, did everybody have an opportunity to weigh in and give feedback? Because oftentimes not everybody participates for whatever reason. I want to make sure that when we provide the software, it's not, it's utilized appropriately in terms of the sites have the opportunity to weigh in, and they're not using something or not going to be eliminated of using a particular software that they would have benefited in their site, as opposed to a different site. You having forced to use something that their site would have benefited from. So, and I say this because I've received calls from a particular site that says, I would have liked to use that software, but we can't use it anymore because the district took it away from us. And my students are thriving with that software. So how can we manage that? So is it something that we're addressing?
Yeah, so those are all really good points there. We did create the survey in a way that we promoted it with our principals. We promoted it through our communication out to our staff, to our teachers, to be able to get their input on the different programs that we had purchased. We also provided them with key information that maybe we hadn't kind of compiled it in one place. So for each of the apps that were shared, we talked about the cost. We talked about the usage reports that we were able to pull on the back end to be able to show that information to everyone. And that way we could kind of look at that so that everybody had that information. Apart from that, the nature of the form is based on site. So you had to mark your school site as well as your grade, or even if you were a special education teacher. That also helped us to disaggregate the responses. So if we saw an app that maybe was more focused for the littles, let's say for TK through 2, then we actually pulled the answers from the primary teachers to see their response versus, looking at everyone. And some people even wrote in the comments, like, you know what, I'm a 5th grade teacher. I can't really speak to this app that's used for say a 1st grade class. So we tried to be really kind of careful and intentional and really try to look at the information to make the best decision possible. We also, what we were looking at are district paid for programs, but of course we shared with our principals that they could always go ahead and purchase something for their site with their site funds. So that's another kind of aspect that we shared with our principals, and that will remind them of that. If a principal really feels that their team, or they have a couple grade levels that really, have had a lot of success with something specific, then that might be something that that principal could look into for their those specific grade levels. So there's some flexibility in that. We tried to be as intentional as possible as we were making those decisions.
Do you have a percentage of participants in the survey?
That's what I was gonna say. I think it was high 80s to 90, maybe.
Okay, so we had a good number of participants.
We did. But again, we're always very open to feedback. I mean, the team always really encourages people to reach out. And again, I would start with talking to their principal and kind of talking through what the needs that they might see. And then we can kind of continue those conversations to see if there's anything else that we can do. Or maybe there's an aspect of a program that they're not aware of that we did end up purchasing that might fulfill that need for them. So.
Thank you.
Any other comments or?
I just wanted to add, thank you for this presentation. It is wonderful to hear it, very thorough, very intentional, and to have you guys all involved. You can see they have a wonderful team. So thank you.
Thank you. I do have a wonderful team. They're phenomenal. And again, so grateful to them. Obviously, we're a little in transition, and so it was sort of all hands on deck to help this kind of get this done, but very appreciative of them. They have such great minds, great expertise that really were able to contribute to this process.
One thing I wanted to add is I did hear great things about the FOSS curriculum.
Yes.
So thank you.
It's a great one. And we have the results to show for it, which you'll see at a later presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Filion, and all three of your presentators. You did a wonderful job, and it makes me very happy that we're being ahead and we're doing the right thing for our children, and that's the most important thing. Here for our National School District, you've all been here a long time, so you know the importance of it. I read what are you doing, and I'm very proud of you. There's a lot of work to do, but you've done it, and you will continue doing it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Continue on with item 10B. Approve the over. Thank you. We'll now go on to item 10B, approve CT 4379, San Diego County Superintendent of Schools, improving chronic absent network, Exhibit C. Speaker, Dr. Laura Villar.
Yes, thank you. This is a program that we're bringing forward. It's the ICANN program from the San Diego County Office of Education. It really does focus on supporting our schools and their work with strategies to address attendance and chronic absenteeism. We have 3 schools that are interested in participating. That's Central, El Toyon, and Las Palmas. So those are the 3 schools that are looking at participating in this. They have all of our schools have conducted a needs assessment that's required and part of being a community school. And so from that, they identified attendance as being an area to focus on and wanted to participate then in the ICANN program.
Thank you. Going on to agenda item.
Motion to approve item 10B.
We have a motion by Maria Betancourt Castaneda to approve, and we have a second by Trustee Lopez. Please vote. Oops. Thank you. Continuing on to agenda item 10A. 11A. Conduct public hearing regarding the initial proposal of the National City Elementary Teachers Association to the National School District for the 2026-2027 school year. The board will now hear comments from any members The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. There's none. As part of this hearing, we'll make a brief statement. Dr. Maritza Copen, Assistant Superintendent, HR.
Thank you, everyone. So this is the Sunshine, which really just notifies the public of what each group, in this case, it's NCETA, would like to negotiate in the next round of negotiations. Reminder that we are in a 2-year agreement, and this is our reopener. This is Article 14, Health and Welfare. Article 15, they want to talk about salaries, increased compensation. Article 19, special education, address workload concerns, and create a new article called Article 25 under working conditions.
Thank you. Going on to, do members of the board have any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez?
Is there language already, proposed language in working conditions? Or what is?
This would be a new article for them. So typically the entire contract addresses working conditions. So it's in various areas, like class size is working conditions and our health and welfare benefits, or having classrooms that are clean and ready to move in. All of those things are address working conditions, but I think they want to do a separate article.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll go on to. We now close the hearing. This is it. We will now go to 11B. Adopt initial proposal from the National City Elementary Teachers Association to the National School District for the 2026-2027 school year. Speaker, Dr. Maritza Copen.
So the item before is to open a public hearing in case anybody wanted to address the items that NCETA is bringing forward. Since there were no speakers to that item, that now it's adopt the Sunshine document from NCETA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Mrs. Maria Betancourt Castaneda and a second by Trustee Sarmiento. Please vote. Now going to agenda item 11C. Conduct public hearing regarding the initial proposal from the National School District to the National City Elementary Teachers Association for the 2026-2027 school year. Board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. We have no comments. As part of this hearing, we will make a brief statement. Speaker, Dr. Maritza Copen.
So similarly, as we brought forward the Sunshine for NCETA, we're bringing forward the Sunshine for an SDR district, and we are sunshining Article 15 salaries, in which we are looking at proposing language for a mentor teacher stipend for when we hire intern eligible candidates. We're also looking at language in our special education article, Article 19, to propose language regarding RSP caseloads, increasing those caseloads based on what education code allows us to do. And then Article 24, support personnel in STEAM, really looking at the program and looking at not only assignments and schedules and procedures for our STEAM teachers, but also for the teachers who are being released during that time.
Thank you. Do members of the board have any comments or questions? If not, it's closed hearing. Going down to agenda item 12, we conduct a public hearing of the proposed budget. Eleven D, adopt initial proposal from the National School District to open negotiations with the National City Elementary Teachers Association. Speaker, Dr. Maritza Copan.
So now that we had our public hearing, if anyone wanted to speak on behalf of these articles that are being presented, we had no speakers, and so now it's just to adopt the articles 15, 19, and 24 for our sunshine for the NSD.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve by Ms. Maria Bettencourt Castaneda, and a second by
I'll second that.
Trustee Sarmiento. Please vote. Item 12A. All right, go backwards all the time. So you're pointing here and she's pointing over here.
Because you're not keeping that up.
Okay. Comments. Agenda item 11E, approved job description for coordinator of student health services. Speaker, Dr. Maritza Copan.
So at the last board meeting, we had a presentation for Rady Children's Hospital contract and information, and I know that we talked about bringing the different program options to the board, and we talked about bringing a job description forward. This would be a coordinator of student health services that would help really evaluate our programs and help in a transition to a possible new way of serving our students.
Do we have any comments or any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a, by Mrs. Sarmiento and a second by Mrs. Maria Bettencourt Castaneda. Please vote.
Madam President,
Agenda item 12A, conduct a public hearing of the proposed budget for the 2026-2027 school year. The board will now hear comments. The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. None. As part of the hearing, we will make a brief statement. Speaker, Dr. Robert Cochran.
Thank you. Good evening, President Avalos, Board of Trustees, and fellow executive cabinet members. You all heard Trustee Avalos. Tonight we will make a brief statement, and so I'll be supporting with that brief statement this evening. This is our 26-27 proposed budget that we are sharing this evening, and first, let me just start by showing the general budget cycle and where we are. We're right here at the kickoff where we have a budget adoption prior to July 1. And then, of course, we'll share that first interim with you in December, covering expenses, financials up until October 31st. Then we'll do it again in March, which will cover financials up through January 31st. That allows the board to see progress toward our budget that has been adopted. And then finally in September, we'll review those unaudited actuals after the year has closed. So we're right here at the start. I like to remind the board where we last spent some time, and this is a slide from the second interim presentation where we were talking about sun-rising revenues and sunsetting revenues. And of course, there's several that are sunsetting. We've discussed that before, but we also have some sun-rising ones as well. And I think the most important thing to mention is we really didn't know where COLA was when we presented interim 2. And we're assuming and hearing that it was going to be around 2.41. So I would like to say that there have been some adjustments as a result of the May revise. We've heard some significant, great financial news, primarily driven by revenues from the stock market and especially from the artificial intelligence sector. It of course comes with the risk that those type of revenues could not sustain. There's talk about dot-com bubble type activity in the stock market, but while it continues to provide us revenue, we continue to see these benefits. And so what you have here is a mix of ongoing and one-time funds. There's new community schools money that started this year and for 4 years after. A learning recovery emergency block grant, new, a little bit smaller than before, set of one-time funds. Our anticipated COLA went from 2.41, became a statutory 2.87, and then became an augmented 4.31%, which comes currently projected with the responsibility of providing 14 weeks of paid maternity leave to any staff that qualify. At the same time, none of this is final until the legislature enacts the Budget Act. A student support and professional development discretionary block grant has been increased since interim 2. And something that's new on the radar is an increase of per ADA funding for special education students, which is ongoing. And so that's great. That's a lot of additional revenue that's going to be coming into the district. We currently look at that and we see that about 3.2 million of revenue that's going to be coming in is ongoing revenue. That's exciting. Ongoing, of course, is my favorite type of revenue, if you were wondering. But we also see that about 4.1 million that we're going to be receiving if this Budget Act was enacted as projected here is one time. So that definitely is great news for us, but it comes with the risk of what if the state does not enact this May revised governor's proposal. And we were actually advised by the County Office of Education that has oversight responsibilities not to project for you this evening this budget with all of these resources that we're showing. We were encouraged to project something that was more conservative. And we've made an intentional decision to base our budget with all of these new funds coming in for a couple of reasons. One, because we believe we actually will receive these. And two, because we don't want to confuse anybody. So those are the reasons. The risk, of course, is if there's a significant difference between what we actually receive when the Budget Act is enacted, then we would complete a 45-day budget revision. And of course, if we go down that road, we'll share that with the Board of Trustees. You guys will have an opportunity to see what that revised budget would look like. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit about the budget. This is where you'll begin to see numbers on the screen that align with that beautiful large binder that we give you guys every time we have a budget report. And so I just want to share with you that one of the things that you might notice is that our revenues for 25-26 came in a little bit higher. You might notice that 92 million is more than what we projected. And I want to share with you a large reason for that is because we recovered over $1 million of flood recovery money from 2024. I do want to point out that we didn't know that that was going to be definitely coming, so it wasn't budgeted before, right? and that we only got coverage determination on that in April. So now that we have received that money, it's included there, and it reflects as a little bit of a higher revenue. One of the things that I want to really highlight is if you look at that line that says net increase or decrease in fund balance, we ended 25-26 estimating a 15 million deficit for the past year, and that our proposed budget, as a result of reductions that we've made, one-time expenses like construction paid for by Fund One that are going away, and as a result of the new money that we're receiving, we're looking at a proposed budget that's relatively balanced with just a deficit of $1.5 million or so. And also want to add that that net decrease really, as you'll see, protects the restricted fund side, and the decrease really is protects the unrestricted fund side, and the decrease you'll see is to restricted funds, because we tend to use restricted funds first and when we can, right? So if you look at just the unrestricted fund, and this is of course what we're protecting when we have a board resolution and we're making reductions, unrestricted is what that relates to, the unrestricted side of Fund One. And so a couple things here, you'll notice that we do have some increased revenues going into next year. We do have some decreased expenses, again, as part of the work that we're doing, and that we are anticipating that the ending fund balance will increase modestly. So you see that we anticipate $1 million increase to our unrestricted general fund over the course of the upcoming year. With respect to the restricted fund, however, I do want to show that, you know, our expenditures do exceed our revenues as they have in the past, that special ed is associated with that in terms of receiving a contribution from our unrestricted general fund at the end. You'll see that our ending fund balance for 25-26 is projected to be about $7.4 million. And that as a result of reductions, you know, that net decrease in fund balance in the past was 10.1 million, and you'll see that for proposed for the upcoming year is 2.6. Again, think of those reductions as related to things like construction costs that we won't be paying for, other one-time expenses like that, a reduction in some staffing. Of course, you're familiar with that from our work with the Budget Reduction Task Force, and that we will have an ending fund balance that's somewhere around 4.8. When I started with the district, our highest fund balances were in our restricted section, but you know, of course, that we want to use restricted funds first. So you're beginning to see a flip where we are maximizing our use of restricted funding, and now you're starting to see that our unrestricted funding is actually starting to become higher. So that shares a little bit about restricted funding. I do want to say exactly what those other commitments are that you see when you see that commitment fund. Of course, our reserve for economic uncertainties is at 3% down there at the bottom. And then we do have some non-spendable items, things like store stock or prepaid items or revolving cash accounts. But we do have some set-asides here under our commitments. And of course, one of them is the CSEA Health and Welfare Insurance Pool excess reserves. That's really not the district's to spend, right? That's set aside, and in collaboration with our bargaining unit, we determine how to deploy that. Primarily, they determine how to deploy that. If you look at curriculum adoption and technology purchases, we do know that we've been receiving some mixed feedback. Some of the feedback we've been receiving is that our technology is fine. We don't need a refresh. And then we've also been receiving feedback from some stakeholders that say that a technology or device refresh for one-to-one devices is needed. So we have a set aside for curriculum adoption, technology purchases, and as we move into the year, we will do some real specific work on looking at what that would be. In the moment, it is set aside. And then the other thing that I want to point out is that interim 1 and interim 2, that protection against future revenue loss commitment that protects us against any type of declining enrollment that may be stark and could vary greatly from year to year. That important reserve is there in case something were to not materialize that we would be planning for or expecting. And that has really been replenished because at interim 2, right, it was down into the hundreds of thousands. So in this particular budget, that protection against a declining enrollment is reinstated. So then want to share with you a little bit about our multi-year projections. Of course, this is for combined both unrestricted and restricted side of Fund 1. Want to point out that pink little section there is budget reductions in times when you have conducted a resolution to reduce. That number hasn't been 0. With our current situation, that number is 0 as a result of all the revenue that we've received, as well as some of the reductions that we've been making. Just a couple things to point out. You will see that our revenues in this upcoming year are much higher than the past year, perhaps 90 million estimated at the beginning of the year, 92 million at closing, right? We're closer to 96 there. And that is encouraging. But remember that a large component of that, not all of the new money that we're receiving, but a large component of that are one-time funds. And as a result of that, you'll see that the picture deteriorates after 26, 27, right? That total revenue at almost 96 million becomes more like 92 million in 27, 28, 28, 29. And as a result, if you look at that net increase or decrease in those out years, 27, 28, and 28, 29, you'll see that that decrease in fund balance is growing, right? So a beginning fund balance of perhaps 14 million in 26, 27, and then slowly it begins to reduce over time. Remember that this is combined. Let's take a look at just unrestricted by itself. You'll remember that I said in a prior slide that we were anticipating about $1 million in increased fund balance to an unrestricted side of Fund 1. And again, as a result of the one-time funds that won't be ongoing, you see that we are a slight increase in 2026, 27, but then in the out years, 27, 28, 28, 29, without additional new one-time funds that frankly right now we just don't know about yet, that you begin to see a decline, and then that beginning fund balance again begins to decline from 7 million, of course, up to 8, but then down to 5, and would continue in future years as well, right? So there would be some course correction that would be required of us in our current state if we didn't continue to receive ongoing injections of one-time funds from the state of California. And then taking a look at the restricted side as well. Taking a look at the restricted side as well, you'll see that our revenues in 26, 27 are higher. Again, they drop off in 27, 28, and 28, 29. And that, again, you'll see that beginning fund balance, even with all this great news about funding that we have today currently, begins to deteriorate over time. It's, goes from 7.4 to 4.8 to 3.6 as the years go on. So interesting to note that this entire budget that I'm sharing with you tonight, it assumes a number of things. Of course, this budget for the upcoming year is impacted by decisions. So in this, we've assumed a loss of some staff at a particular level. That, of course, is through attrition, non-replacement. That's not any type of laying off, type of activity. We haven't been engaging in any of that. We've assumed a loss of enrollment here. At the same time, at this moment, we're not quite where our assumption of the loss of enrollment would be. So we're going to be watching that very closely over the summer. We've assumed stable or increasing ADA. Important to note that we believe that where we are in terms of our attendance, it should be flat or slightly improved from where we currently are. We've assumed departmental expenses at a particular level, and we've assumed initiatives at particular costs. Every time we make a decision to embark on a new initiative to bring back particular staff or fund a particular expense, it does impact our budget. And of course, we're in a constant state of revising and bringing back to the board, which is why you see budget presentations so often in the year. Want to talk for a moment about cash flow. So I will say that when we were in interim 2 and interim 1, you were seeing cash flow for any particular month for as low as in the couple $100,000. I think we were maybe around 200,000 at our lowest. Of course, this cash flow projection is not the 25 million, 30 million that you've seen in the past, but at the same time, this provides a fair cushion. It's not at any point are we in the hundreds of thousands of range of cash on hand. The other thing that I would add is, as I've said in past years, it's nonlinear. That can be very confusing, of course, but it jumps at particular times of the year. For example, when we're receiving property tax payments would be a time where all of a sudden our revenues are increasing. We don't have necessarily an even revenue stream from month to month. And the other thing is that when you're calculating your expenses, material supplies, contracts or services or other operating expenses, we use a particular calculator that we're mandated to use with the county office. And so that particular calculator sometimes as well will analyze what we've spent in the past and at what times and project further what expenses on those types of material supplies, contracts would be in the future. So this gives an approximate idea of our cash flow in the upcoming year. Want to speak a little bit about our other funds. Everything that we have discussed up to this point has been our general fund, Fund 1. And so these are other funds. I will just share with you, looking at these other funds, there is not any specific fund that we are concerned about. You'll see child development with 1.6 million and cafeteria special revenue. That's our child nutrition fund at 3.1 million. Notice that our building fund, which is our bond measure HH, we had a program last month. I believe we had projected 11 million remaining at that time. And then you'll see that this projects our end of the year balance with a little bit more expended beyond that. Our capital facilities fund was at 0 this last year, but you'll see that it has been building back up. We'll be looking at projects that are needed and assigning those funds to that. So as I said, no concerns with any of these other funds. Wanted you to be able to take a look at them and see them. I also just want to say that, when we're talking about our next steps, of course, this month, the Board of Trustees will adopt the 26-27 budget and LCAP. I do want to take a moment to say that we had a lot of great collaboration between the Business Services Department and the Educational Services Department. And this team was truly great to work with as we collaborated around LCAP and the budget. We'll submit that budget, of course, to the county office. The state legislature will adopt the Budget Act by July 1. Typically, they'll have it done by June 15th, but it can be anywhere in that range. If necessary, a 45-day budget revision will be developed. That does not necessarily mean bringing it back to the board. However, it means making adjustments and posting it publicly for all to see. And then we'll, of course, close and open the fiscal year and present the unaudited actuals report in September and share with the board any adjustments that we're making between now and then. So I just wanted to say thank you to our team. Of course, Arena Coward, she works tirelessly, and we always seem to be short-staffed in business services and often around a time that a big budget report is due. But want to thank the team that you see there before you on the screen. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to discuss or provide a response.
Any questions? Trustee Lopez?
No questions, but just thank you so much for the presentation to you and your team.
Thank you, Trustee.
Trustee Maria Bernacor Casadeva?
Thank you.
I do have a question and then a comment, one comment. Thank you for the presentation, and not having us here all night. So yes. The question I have is, normally do we get the, changes, brought forward to us? You mentioned that you would maybe not bring it back to us. You would just make the changes?
Right, so that's a great question. So in a 45 day revision, and those are specifically the changes that I believe you're mentioning. So in a 45-day revision, it is not a requirement for a district to bring it back to the Board of Trustees. Certainly, we could go through a process of bringing it back, but primarily what that is the district making adjustments or reacting to the difference in their revenues that they're receiving. And so that's posted for all and shared with all, and we could certainly bring a report back to the board. I said that it wasn't required. However, if the board wanted us to bring that back and share it in July, we'd be happy to do that.
I think traditionally that's something that us as a board, we normally would see. I think that I would like to see that. I think if time permitted, I think I would like to have that brought back to us as a board. That's my.
Thank you for your feedback. I'll work with Dr. Filia on that. I will tell you that I do think it's somewhat unlikely that we're going to be revising at all. Part of the reason that we went this route of sharing all of the funds that we're anticipating receiving is because we really do have good
Calculation.
not good calculations. We believe we have good information that we truly are receiving this money, and if we were presenting something less, we believe that we would be coming back to present more in front of you and then potentially risk not looking transparent, right? And so that was the reason that we made this specific decision to really show what the May revise said that we should be getting.
And I sat through a budget presentation through the County Office of Ed, I think it was last week. And they were very, very hopeful that we were going to be getting all this money. So it seemed like, although somebody wasn't very excited, that they were so happy about all the money that they were presenting. They said, just be honest and stop being so excited and happy that this money was coming, as in if it was not really going to happen. So that's why I'm asking if we're going to really get an update, because if this money doesn't really come to us, will we hear about it? So, but if there's obviously no changes, we're not going to hear about it. So, but
Thank you, and duly noted. And like I said, I'll work with Dr. Filia. Either way, we would be providing updates to the board regularly throughout a 45-day budget revise process. And I don't have any problem bringing it back to the board and doing a presentation to talk about the adjustment.
thank you.
Trustee Lopez? I did have a question actually now. Will this item come back at the next street meeting? When are we approving this?
Yes, it will also be at the June 24th meeting as well.
Okay.
Yes. Good
Thank you,
question.
Dr.
Thank you.
Hoffman, for a great presentation with all these numbers. It's quite informing for us to see where we're at this moment, even though at times we're not where we're supposed to be, but you certainly let us know what's going on. I think it's great. Thank you so much. It's a lot of work.
Thank you
Lot of
very much,
numbers.
Trustee. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have, okay. Next. So Dr. Brady.
For me, Dr. Brady?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that while a 45-day budget revision doesn't need to be approved by the board, traditionally we always bring, if we have changes that are significant from what we thought we were getting to what we get, and we make adjustments to the budget, we usually do some sort of a presentation. Likewise, if we get feedback from the county on our LCAP plan, and we make those revisions after their final approval, we'll bring a presentation back so it's publicly, transparently presented, even if it doesn't require a formal approval from the board, and then we will post it publicly. So I think that's what you're both saying, and just to give a little historical knowledge in my last few board meetings.
Any other comments or questions? This, now, this hearing is closed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Going on with, business services, item B, approve DT 4382 with Dr. Elizabeth Johnson as a district consultant.
Move to approve.
I have a approval by trustee Sarmiento and a second by Maria Betancourt Castaneda. Please vote. Okay, that's it. We now accept the donations of $2,026 from Southwest Lodge, 283 Ladies of National School District for materials and supplies. Thank you for your donations.
Motion to approve?
Pardon?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve by trustee Lopez and a second by trustee Maria Betancourt Castaneda. Thank you. We now have board cabinet. Trustee Lopez?
Yes. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to staff again for your presentations. Really great to see the direction our district is going, and it's all due to your hard work and the team and everyone that is with you, and all of the staff too. Thank you so much for everything that you pour into our students every day. And I really hope you're enjoying your summer break already. I did attend Kimball's promotion and National City's promotion. Shout out to Alicia, Ariana, and Arely Rodriguez for promoting. And that's it. Have a great summer.
Trustee Sarmiento?
I have nothing else to add. She did a good job of it. Go ahead.
Trustee Maria Betancourt Castaneda?
Thank you. I would like to congratulate the students of Olivewood and our principal for her first promotion at Olivewood. She has that one under her belt. I know that she was a sixth grade teacher, so she now transitioned to it being a principal and so it's different responsibility. And after being at Olivewood, ran to Kimball, and I barely made it, so I was able to join Trustee Lopez to be a part of the Kimball promotion. I ran. And got to participate in the promotion at Kimball. Both were very beautiful ceremonies. So shout out to both of those principals for really doing a great presentation and to promoting our students, and all the parents for being there, seeing their students, their children promoted. And congratulations to Dr. Segudo on her final promotion. It was very difficult to make the decision on which one to go to because her first one and final one. And so, Dr. Philia, you got to attend hers, right? So thank you for sending me those pictures. I was able to decorate for them. I also was able to participate or attend Nationals promotion. I think sometimes they have like a marathon promotion. I think it was like 38 minutes. It was like super fast. So they have it down to a science. And also was able to be at the graduation for Sweetwater's, both at the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. And I'm happy to announce that there was a 3-way tie for the Victoria, and if memory serves me correct, all 3, maybe I know for sure 2, but all 3 were all of the students. At least they were all National School District students. But Sol Lopez is our very own vice mayor. Both
parents, homegrown, National City residents. And boy, were they ecstatic about their students. Sol Lopez and Brian Rivera, they were, I guess, always attached by the hip since elementary school. And Kenneth Sagun, all three had a 3.65, I think it was, GPA, and then that other one was 3.64. They'll be off by 0.4, 0.5. And the salutatorian was Andy Carvajal. All of them were National School District students, which makes me very proud because they came from us. Because oftentimes they don't all have to be National School District students going to the feeder schools, but they were all our students. And to have to call it and have a three-way tie, that's awesome. So let's see. Just wanted to thank again Dr. Filion and your team for an amazing presentation. Thank you for still being here. Otherwise, we would have nobody to look out to. And Dr. Cochran and your team for a wonderful presentation. I know that they're not here, but I know they did an amazing job behind the scenes. And I hope everybody has a wonderful break. I know that it's well deserved. And with that, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cochran.
Thank you. Just a few thank yous, and I hope I'm not impinging on Dr. Kevin. I did want to say thank you to NCTA for sharing their initial proposal with us, and we're looking forward to a good season of bargaining. So thank you to them. Want to say that I attended the Lincoln Acres promotion ceremony, and it was just a great moment of community pride, of family pride, recognition for students, recognition for staff as well, and just a great reminder of why we do the work that we do. And I also want to say thank you to Rady Children's, and just to explain a little bit, I know that we shared a lot with the board about challenges with the Rady contract for the upcoming year. But I do want to share that we will be bringing Rady Children's agreement next month, or excuse me, next board meeting to the board. And that there really truly has been a compromise that's been reached. And of course, it's never a one-sided thing. When you get to a compromise, it really takes two. And so want to share with their staff that we appreciate their partnership in that. And finally, I would just say a thank you to our trustees, of course, for listening to the budget and kind of understanding that we're in a little bit of a developing, evolving place, but also having a good grasp on where we are. We're certainly able to support with any other questions that pop up. So thank you very much.
Dr. Kipner.
I want to thank the Ed Services team and the Business Services for their presentations. I know it's a lot, especially at the end of the year, gathering all that information. So thank you. I went and attended the promotion at El Toyon. That was really nice. Mr. Denegri had a photo section, so the parents who were next could come all the way up and get a good photo. So thank you, El Toyon, for a great promotion. And congratulations to all the graduates. My daughter graduated. We have a lot of senior employees with seniors. And congratulations to all the graduates, and including Dr. Filiason. That was really fun to attend. Great message from our valedictorian too, about being a good person and forgetting about material things. And that when you get older, you will remember how people treated you. So be kind to others. It was a really nice message. I just want to do a shout out to our principals, office techs, and admin assistants, and Ricky Gill. They've been working really hard on recruiting and getting enrollment up. We're working on staffing for next year, trying to fill positions. And every day we look at the numbers. Every day we look at how many students each school has and the staffing for those students. So just a shout out to everyone who's working hard on enrollment and staffing for next year. Thank you.
Dr. Filia?
Yes, I would like to again reiterate, I was able to attend the promotion over at Palmer Way with Dr. Seguda, and it was really beautiful, very moving, and just a great celebration of her students. Her PTA was amazing. They did an amazing job. And it's quite the balloon arch that I saw there too. It's pretty impressive, but it was a really wonderful event. And again, just so appreciative of Dr. Seguda and all the work that she has done in the service of our students and our families. I would reiterate also, I would like to recognize our principals who have been and continue really to be digging in as they reflect on the work that they've engaged in this year and really take a look at what worked and what maybe tweaks need to happen. And they've just been very busy at really kind of diving into that work as we do have them again. We'll meet with them again next week to have a chance to go through that process. So I recognize their efforts and their work, and of course, I'm sure they're looking forward to some rest. I also want to just thank all of the staff that are involved in our summer school and ESY programming that launched today. So it really is to bring that together as a true collaborative effort of so many departments that are involved in making that happen. We continue to want to grow and expand our ELOP programming that we offer for our students. And so that program really, we have about 25 staff or so that are working in the mornings, working with our students who have kind of agreed to take part in that. Our nutrition department who are feeding our students, our transportation department, custodial, our tech department, publication, really just so many people that contribute to make that happen. So I'm just very grateful for that. And what's wonderful is that we have about 480 students or so that are enrolled and participating. So we're just thrilled about that. That's over at Central and at Lincoln Acres. And so just grateful for all the people that are making that happen for our students.
Thank you, Dr. Filia. We have Trustee Maria Betancourt Castaneda has something else to say. Sorry.
I just wanted to congratulate Dr. Kevin for being chosen as the new COO at O'Farrell, right? And I apologize for missing that on my comments, but wanted to say you will really be missed. I know that this is not your last meeting, but I didn't want to forget, but congratulations. And I know that you'll be going with somebody that is very familiar to us, but congratulations and we wish you well. But again, this is my last meeting.
Dr. Brady.
Well, that's what I was going to say tonight. She made sure to get cut in to add her comment.
She let me teach you.
That's okay. Actually, it was Dr. Kevin this week that said, Dr. Brady, as you're getting ready to near retirement, you should feel very proud that we are ending with a balanced budget and labor peace. And seeing our presentations tonight on the budget and on the LCAP and all the work that went in, it really is a team effort to see the educational services team here, to see the list of the business services team at the end of the presentation. It really is truly reflective of the work of the whole district and of the guidance from the board. So I think you probably feel that same pride. I did want to say congratulations to you. For the last 4 years, you have been the leader of that HR department in creating positive relationships with our labor groups. And while it hasn't always been easy and we haven't always agreed, you've really approached it with respect and really listening to what people are asking and needing. And we've been able to come off the table earlier than ever under your leadership so that we could move into the next calendar year and not have those new increases in benefits hit our employees. And I think that's something to be truly proud of. When you say that she'll be missed, you really will be missed here in National School District. And there are a lot of changes on the horizon, and so we know that National School District will continue to thrive. You've set a really nice tone for that to happen, and we're just very, I feel, I have a lot of gratitude to having been a partner with you in that work. So thank you for everything you've done. And I know Dr. Filia will choose wisely in selecting your replacement.
Thank you, Dr. Brady. I also attended the graduations. Ira Harbison was very nice, and so did Mrs. Maria Petico Castaneda also attended as well. Oh, she forgot about that one. We'll give her the chance to say it now. On Dr. Brady's speech.
And Anthony would thank you very much.
We were both there. It was a great presentation. I knew some families there, and it's always nice to see them. And the children are just fabulous. They're just really great, and they did a good job. As we shook hands, they had been practicing how to shake hands. Some shook it tight, some shook it loose, and some just went. So we just grabbed it though. But it was great. I also went to Rancho. I was quite impressed how beautiful they had it done with all the flowers and the red carpet. Wow, this is really great. And it was an honor to give out the diplomas. So I was ever able to hand out the diplomas, no handshaking, just giving out the diplomas. So that was wonderful that we did that. And then of course I went to the middle school graduation as well. It's also a great honor because I know a lot of parents where their children go to, and ended up going to the Sweetwater graduation, one at 3 and one at 6. So it was great. Also, I've seen people that I haven't seen in years, and I was so happy to see them. It was like a reunion from Nashville City. One of the young ladies that I saw, her father had given me a job as a reporter. Believe it or not, I was a reporter. He'd give me all the questions to ask, of course, but still, I was a reporter for the newspaper. So I hadn't seen her in a long time. It was nice to see her. And I want to thank everyone here who gave some great presentations, all of you, and it was quite informative that you did. Also, 2 of you that are still left here, Mr. Vargas, I'm sure has to leave. And I think it's great that you work so hard into giving some presentation with money and what's going on and what we're going to be expecting the next year or the following year. And, you know, that's a lot up here. And I hope you rest sometimes without seeing numbers as you blink. But it was a great job. I want to thank everybody here and enjoy your few days off that we have. And I'm not happy that you're leaving, but I know that you're gonna be fine because you'll be with Shamela, right? She works there also. So you won't be alone. So you'll have a nice friend to buddy up with and talk and do things with. So at least you're not gonna be by yourself, right? You know her already. So that's good. And then you'll get to meet all the ones, and sorry to see you leave. I wish you the best of luck for everything that you do. And thank you for helping the National School Board and doing a great job too, because your job was hard too. As well as the rest of them. I'm proud that we had you here for as long as we did. And I wish you the best of luck also. And congratulations to your daughter that graduated, right? Yes. That's a great accomplishment. That your daughter is graduating. And with that, anybody else forgot to say anything? This is your last chance. Say something now. Meeting's over. Thank you. Ended at 7:39.